What's up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Elo Bandit, and today I have for you a very special surprise. My good friend LRXC is joining me to talk about ADV 1v1. LRXC, go ahead and introduce yourself.
What is up, guys? This is LRXC, also known as... Oh, this is Logan, also known as LRXC and Pokemon Showdown. And yes, sir, we are talking about ADV 1v1. Love this generation. Let's go. I'm so excited.
Oh man, ADV 1v1 is such a fun generation, and today we are here to answer the question, should you play ADV 1v1?
Yes. Yes.
Yes, you should. And to give you a little bit of a snapshot into the metagame, I figured we would start off with some of the most common and powerful sets that you'll find in the meta. Number 1, S-Rank Zapdos. This thing is absolutely crazy. It can tech virtually any other Pokemon, and it beats ground types with HP Grass. What more could you want from an electric type?
Yeah, Zapdos is really nuts. I mean, Pressure Stall is very fast. One important thing to note about Pressure Stall and ADV is that there's no Choice Scarf in this generation. So there's no, like, is the Metagross going to be Scarfed or not? You can just substitute and protect on a lot of Metagrosses and win, because then they start struggling.
That's right.
Yeah, and also Zapdos can use Metal Sound, which is really nuts, and that has a lot of potential with Pataya Berry. And yeah, Zapdos does a lot. It's very difficult to beat. Yeah.
Speaking of sub-protect, Sceptile is also a really huge threat. This actually got a boost in the viability rankings pretty recently because people have been all over, specifically the Seismic Toss set, I believe.
Yes, yeah. So yeah, I mean, Sceptile can obviously like sub down and Leaf Blade stuff with like an Overgrow Pataya or Hidden Power Grass to take down Mence and Flygon. But a really cool thing about Sceptile, which is a tech that I kind of created, is the Leech Seed Seismic Toss set, which covers the next Pokemon we'll talk about, which is Registeel, because what Sceptile does is Leech Seed, taking away HP with Leech Seed plus Seismic Toss. Registeel can't rest that off enough before Sceptile kills it. Registeel is super annoying. And yeah, if Sceptile can live a hit, it's going to substitute Protect and Leech Seed stuff, just like Whimsicott in newer generations and all that.
Yeah, Registeel does a pretty good job at gluing the tier together. You basically need some sort of wall breaker on your team, like Seismic Toss Sceptile or Swords Dance Marowak. Registeel, just a very oppressive force in the team builder, if you ask me. Whereas in Team Preview, it's very, very clear what it does. There's not a whole lot of other options that it has, other than, I guess, Choice Band is a funny lure set.
Yeah, what's interesting about, So the interesting thing about Choice Band Registeel is that it's really nice for something like a very common Registeel check, which is like Taunt, Dragon Dance, Tyranitar. So a lot of people might try throwing Taunt, Dragon Dance, Tyranitar to take down Zapdos and Registeel at the same time, and then once it sets up Taunt, hit with the Choice Band Superpower. But other than that, yeah, I would stick with the Iron Defense Amnesia set or counter Registeel to take down like really, really powerful attackers.
Yeah, so maybe there is some degree of unpredictability with Registeel. We also have Raikou as the premier pure electric type attacker. Typically runs a very similar set with Pressure Stall or Sub Pataya. Sub Pataya as a strategy is incredibly powerful in ADV 1v1. It's definitely up there as one of the best ways to deal damage, because you can live a hit from pretty much anything, given that you bulk for it. Land one Thunderbolt and then substitute down into your Pataya and get a +1 Thunderbolt. It's very, very easy in this bulkier meta to pull off those Pataya strategies where you just keep attacking.
Yeah, it's really another reason that Substitute just in general is a great move is because, yet again, like I said before, in newer generations you have Choice Scarf, and you can get Choice Scarf tricked by a lot of things and into the Substitute, and then you lose. If you are faster than another Pokemon in ADV, you will 100% get that sub off safely. So it's just a really great scouting move, and you'll usually pretty reliably be able to get a +1 special attack boost or +1 attack boost on anything if you use sub.
Yeah. Also worth mentioning, we forgot to go over the very basic mechanics of Gen 3, which is there is no physical in Special Split. So Hidden Power Flying, physical. All of the physical attacks are just straight up physical. No matter, all of the dragon moves are special, all the flying moves are physical, all the bug moves are physical, etc. So Pokemon sometimes don't have very good stabs and are forced to run Hidden Power as their primary stab. Salamence is a good example of this.
Yeah, I mean, the best way to remember like what moves are physical and special is that the special moves are all of the evolutions plus dragon, and everything else is physical, which means that yes, Gengar cannot use Shadow Ball very well because Shadow Ball is a physical move in ADV.
Or can it? Moving on to
It
Tyranitar. We have Choice Band Tyranitar with Brick Break. I personally like maximum speed Brick Break. I feel like this does extremely well in the mirror matchup, and it gives you good chances to like outspeed and flinch things with Rock Slide.
Yeah, I agree. I think Band Tyranitar is a very just I mean, it's just a great set in general. But another thing that makes Tyranitar so powerful in ADV 1v1 is that it has the ability Sandstream, which nullifies the best item in the game, which is leftovers. Because I mean, if you don't resist Sandstorm, those leftovers are pointless, and it makes Tyranitar like it cleans up a lot of KOs that Tyranitar wouldn't reach normally with its Stab Rock Slide.
Yeah, I like that. Also, it has a free slot for Hidden Power. I do like Bug to nail Celebi. That is my preference. Metagross, I love running just maximum HP Choice Band. I feel like this is the best set for Metagross. I tried a whole bunch of different EV spreads, keep coming back to this one. Hits hard as heck and does not die in one shot to nearly anything, bar super powerful fire types.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think Metagross is a very defining Pokemon in ADV 1v1. I mean, it's kind of a meme that, like, if you have a Pokemon that learns Counter and can tank a 252 plus Choice Band Meteor Mash, it's a viable Pokemon in ADV 1v1.
Yeah. Swampert, also a very polarizing Pokemon. This is why you see so much Hidden Power Grass on Zapdos, for example. If you don't have grass coverage on your team, you are going to have issues dealing with Swampert. Counter in ADV hits both physical and special hidden powers. So if something is using hidden power grass on you, you can successfully counter it and take them out.
Another thing that's really cool about a specific tech on like a Curse Swampert as well is the move Rollout.
Oh,
Rollout
yeah.
can be used to Rollout, like the Spadef Curse Rollout Spurt is kind of like my signature Swampert. What it does is that it has a lot of power points because every single cycle of Rollout is 1 power point. So you can really beat those Zapdos that are lacking Hidden Power Grass and just other random stuff that you break through.
Yeah. Charizard was extremely popular in the first week of the Swiss tour, but it did fall off a little bit. This is a very powerful fire-type attacker, clearly, but it does have a few clear weaknesses. Mostly 100 speed is fine, and Blast Burn is a little bit susceptible to Endure. There are a few Pokemon that can cheese Charizard with a fast Hidden Power Rock, notably Scyther and Sceptile. Anything else on Charizard?
Yeah, I mean, Charizard's like kind of like a recent development in the ADV 1v1 landscape, but yeah, I mean, like every single team needs to be able to beat a Charizard subbing up and hitting with a Blast Burn. If you don't, then it's just a bad ADV 1v1 team. Charizard is that much of an iconic force right now.
Mm-hmm. Aerodactyl does struggle a little bit with power, but does have a niche in the gen. It's very fast. It can definitely flinch things and get wins. And I know there are a couple of techs with Hidden Power and with Sky Attack.
Yeah, Sky Attack is cool for potentially outplaying like an Endure Salac Berry Heracross.
Oh yeah.
It also gives it a chance to like break through something that it might not normally, such as maybe like a Dusclops clicking Ice Beam. And yeah, Aerodactyl I think also has some unexplored pressure stall sets, but yeah, Aerodactyl is just fast, and I mean like if you get that flinch, you can like get through a lot of matchups.
Yeah. Blastoise I think is the best example of a Torrent user in the meta. It slows down anything and then successfully subs down into the Torrent range, pops its Pitaya Berry and Hydro Cannons, one-shotting things through a resist. It does not care. Power goes up to max, and it's pretty tough to take these things down.
Yeah, another big thing that's important about this Blastoise set is that if you're not running Pitaya Berry Zapdos, this Blastoise actually lives any Thunderbolt that a Zapdos can throw at it, and so it's spamming Icy Wind on the subs, and then, yeah, so this basically it beats Zapdos if it's not running Pitaya Berry, which is another really key trait of Blastoise in ADV 1v1.
Yeah. Moving along, there's a few bulkier Pokemon that are pretty successful in ADV. Regice is one of them. I prefer this really silly looking maximum special attack Ice Beam set because it deals really well with Sceptile, but a lot of people do like to run the maximum defense or maximum special defense Amnesia Rest set.
Yeah, what's really interesting about Regice is that, like, you notice that this Regice doesn't have rest, but it'll still beat an insane amount of special attackers such as Raikou, because once you set up an Amnesia and you have that leftovers recovery every single turn, Regice is so absurdly specially bulky that it basically doesn't need to rest, and it can just start seismic tossing down those Calm Minders.
Yeah. Blissey is usually not run with Mail. This is just here because I wanted to mention it really quickly. Mail does work like Mail in other gens, but it's visible on Team Preview. So yeah, you can block those trick users, but they know that it's coming. They're not going to try to trick you.
There's not a lot of trick users anyway, so...
Yeah, it's basically limited to Kecleon and Grumpig and a couple others.
Yeah.
But Blissey, it's a good tank. It always is.
Yeah, I mean, Blissey just beats a lot of special attackers, and the big thing with Blissey is that it's the important mix-up of it. Usually runs either counter or seismic toss, and some Pokemon such as Metagross on the Choice Band set can actually run Dynamic Punch so that it always KOs Blissey instead of Blissey living a meter mash and then you get countered. There's always some weird techs that are around to beat counter Blissey if it's running counter.
Yeah. Dusclops, kind of the same thing, really. Calm Mind, Ice Beam, and it can counter physical attackers. Goes from a normal type to a ghost type, but really we're looking at the same type of thing.
Yeah, I think the important differentiator with Dusclops compared to like other stally Pokemon like Blissey and Registeel is that it's a lot less susceptible to crits because of its access to pressure, which means that you're just getting hit with the move less. And not only that, but because it's like a ghost type, it usually deals with fighting types a lot better. And if you run Psychic over Ice Beam, you usually have a better matchup versus some fire types like Blaziken and also, I mean, still Pokemon like Heracross and Machamp.
Very cool. Gengar is a very strong special attacker. Unfortunately, it cannot use its stabs because its stabs are physical attacks, but it does have some pretty good special coverage with Ice Punch, Thunderbolt, and Psychic. This looks very similar to most old gens Gengars that you'll see. Although, of course, without explosion or anything like that, because it's 1v1, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah, and like the other cool thing about what's nice about Gengar is that it has access to Levitate, which means that it is usually a pretty solid Marowak answer unless they're running Hidden Power Ghost. And Gengar can also run like Wisp sets and counter sets.
And we've got Ursaring, the premier Choice Band user of the gen. It's super, super hard with Return and Hyper Beam. Counter's good on here. It can run hidden powers and coverage. Personally, I like to max out attack and make it pretty bulky, but maximum speed is also viable.
Yeah, Ursaring is nuts. I mean, because Hyper Beam is a physical move in this generation, and Ursaring gets stabbed, based on 130 attack, it hits stupid hard. It's kind of like a Charizard type of vibe, where like every team should be able to either live a banded Hyper Beam, which is very difficult, or just outpace Ursaring and KO it, or just sub on it, etc.
Yeah. For the new gens people that are weirded out by seeing Hyper Beam on an Ursaring, it's just Giga Impact. It's just,
yes.
That's all it is. And then last but not least, for the Pokemon that I feel define the gen, we have Alakazam with Encore. This Pokemon is absolutely crazy because Encore is so powerful. It's not a set number of turns. It's random between 3 and 6. You just lock someone into a move, and there's no way to break out of it.
Yeah, there's very little special attackers that can beat Alakazam because of Alakazam's speed, which is, of course, again, so important in a Scarfless meta. And if you don't attack Alakazam turn 1, you get encored and you lose. So yes, Alakazam is very insane. And it can also run a barrier set to mix up physical attackers as well. And that's like a huge mix-up of Zam, which makes Zam surprisingly versatile on preview. Not only that, but its coverage is nuts, so...
Absolutely. Now let's take a look at a couple of teams. The first team I want to look at is a team called LRXC Brokens.
Yes, this is actually credits goes to Dom for this set of 3, but I just revamped it for the meta before the ADV 1v1 Duo Swiss tournament.
Any changes to this team after the Swiss tour, or do you want to keep everything pretty much exactly the same?
I think the idea of it is still the same. Yeah, it could change, but like the idea of it was the same. Yeah, that it was the 3 top S-ranked Pokemon, Zapdos, Marowak, and Registeel, and they all cover each other's weaknesses pretty well. Yeah.
This was the first team that I really tried to counter. That I like treated as a meta team to try and take down. One way that I found to do it was Encore Jumpluff can deal pretty well with this team, as can some Alakazam sets.
Yep.
I made my version of what I thought the Brokens were, with Alakazam in place of Registeel. I felt like having an Encore user on the Brokens team is the way to go, since you deal with those pesky anti-stall sets. SD Marowak and HP Grass Zapdos are pretty much 2 of the best Pokemon that exist in the tier, truly. Marowak's attack stat just gets absolutely ridiculous on turn 2, and I personally like this different set than most people use. Double Edge and HP Rock. This beats any Zapdos that doesn't have Pitaya HP Grass. If they're Substitute Protect Pressure Stall, you can continue clicking Hidden Power Rock. You'll run out of PP, but then you can just click Double Edge and do the same thing. Of course, there's no recoil because of Rock Head. And, you keep the utility of Bone Murray.
Yeah. But what's the bulk for on that Alakazam with 120 HP?
I want to say the bulk is for... It's for eating like a Blast Burn or something after Calm Mind. I don't remember the exact calc. I'll have to show that later.
No, that seems useful, yeah.
Yeah, and then it's got enough special attack that I think it one-hit KOs like Uninvested Heracross or something like that.
Yeah, yep.
So yeah, the Zapdos beats Marowak, the Marowak beats Zapdos, or at least tries to, and Alakazam beats the Pitaya Zapdos that beats Marowak. So that's a very boring team, frankly. Now, a very heat team. We got Lantern and Lychee Sceptile. I want your thoughts on this squad.
Okay, so here's something interesting about ADV is that usually Fire, Water, Grass doesn't work as well as it does in newer generations because all water, all grass, and all fire moves are special, and then you just lose the Blissey.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see how this team beats Blissey, but first I see a Lantern, which is like Pokemon that I've tried to make work so many times, but you just look at the speed and you look at the special attack, and it's like, yeah, it's sad, but this looks interesting. This looks like a very stally Lantern. I'm interested to see exactly what it does.
Yeah, I actually put this together to beat some teams that Blanched had. Let's see what it was. It always beats Blaziken, even if they're Swords Dance Sky Uppercut, which is their best case scenario. So you can always just surf spam against Blaziken and win, which is what a water type should do. Amnesia Rest beats most of the special attackers, and the EVs are just optimized to give you maximum bulk on both ends.
Yeah, just a big bulky fish, yeah.
You don't have to run Toxic. In fact, I was theory crafting with Merman that you could run Hidden Power Ground here and beat Raikou with Volt Absorb, which is also a viable way to run Lantern.
Interesting, yeah. Hidden Power Ground sounds smart there.
Yeah. As you mentioned, the team does struggle with Blissey. That is the biggest threat here. I don't think that Blanched used a whole lot of Blissey, which is why I was okay losing to it. I suppose this Sceptile might have a shot, but not a great one. This is a very interesting Sceptile. I think it's an improvement over Choice Band Sceptile, which a lot of people are using.
Basically getting the utility of the Choice Band attack boost by subbing into Lychee, but you're also still having the versatility where you can like use a different move if you want to.
Exactly. The defense EVs let you Leaf Blade twice and win versus Marowak, provided it doesn't crit you or whatever.
Yeah. One problem that I see with this team, though, I think, is that I'm fairly certain that because the Sceptile isn't very special attack invested, I think Vaporeon just 3-0s this team. Because Vaporeon is stupid bulky, and it actually does just eat some Leaf Blades with leftovers recovery.
Really? I would be really amazed to see that, because generally I think that Sceptile handles waters, but who knows? Yeah. I've not seen a whole lot of Vaporeons in this tier. And the team is finished off with Pitaya Charizard, with Overheat, instead of Blast Burn so as not to lose to Endure.
Yeah, and Hidden Power Ice because you have Sceptile as your Swampert answer so that you kind of like speed tie a Salamence. That makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. Moving down the list here. Oh, this is one of my favorite teams of all time. This is something that I would like to maybe tweak a little bit and submit as an ADV sample because I just love the type core so much. It's Tyranitar, Arcanine, Celebi, Rock type, Fire type, Grass type. I'm super happy with
classic.
super happy with the Arcanine set actually. White Herb resets your lowered stat stages, so you can hit Overheat turn 1 without worrying about getting subbed on. It deals with Salamence because you can HP Ice into Extreme Speed. The Intimidate attack drop is blocked. Flamethrower is good to spam against Subseeders, and yeah, it does everything you'd want a fire Pokemon to do.
Yeah, and I saw that White Herb Arcanine set, and it's also apparently I think has a good chance to beat Marowak because of the Intimidate, making Boomerang not killing, and then yeah, you can usually overheat it twice.
Mm-hmm. And Celebi does also beat Marowak. This is a really cool set. Most Celebi are running Leech Seed, but I find that Pitaya Calm Mind actually has a lot of breaking power. This is a very sneaky set. You still get the utility of sub. You can avoid status and things like that. But that offensive power of +1 Psychic and +1 Giga Drain is really threatening to things like Blaziken that want to come in on this team.
Yeah, another important thing that's really nice about Pitaya Celebi is that Heracross is actually like surprisingly bulky, and if you don't get a Pitaya boost on Celebi, Heracross can just eat a Psychic and then Mega Horn you. So yeah, I like the idea of sub plus Pitaya on Celebi for that reason as well.
Yeah. And then the last thing I would mention about this team is that the Tyranitar is Dragon Dance HP Rock. It's HP Rock for the accuracy, because I hate missing Rock Slide, but truly, Rock Slide is perfectly viable here. It is nice to have that 30% flinch chance, especially since you are Dragon Dancing up.
Yep.
So yeah, that's a cool team. All these teams will be linked in the description, so feel free to use them, take inspiration from them, etc.
Yeah, I think the White Herb Arcanine is like a really, really cool ADV specific tech.
Yeah. Take a brief peek at this Salic Typhlosion set. This was a set that I just really wanted to beat. I wanted to beat Marowak, Raikou, and Sceptile. So here was the idea.
Interesting.
I would Endure on Marowak, just hope it attacks, and then click Blast Burn, and that's the whole play.
No, Marowak is not attacking. Like, so that is a perfectly viable strategy.
And then it would. Let's see. Yeah, it OHKOs Spadef Marowak, and it tanks a Raikou Thunderbolt. And it lets you endure, outspeed the Raikou, and then Earthquake it twice. Yeah. It's a pretty cool anti-Raikou set.
It seems a little shaky versus Raikou, but I think it would work in a one-off scenario, which is what matters in a 1v1 tournament match.
Exactly. These were all built for the Duo Swiss tournament that you and Boat hosted for ADV. So this was myself and Kentari playing against Blanched Almond and Fragments.
Yeah.
This is a pretty cool team that I built to imitate a previous sample. I thought I would fake some people out by convincing them I was some other sets that I don't even know. But basically, the idea was I would get some cheeky wins with Rest, Pressure Stall, Zapdos. I was using this very interesting Black Belt stall-breaking Blaziken set with Double Kick. This set always beats Sub Sceptile, which can otherwise sub past Overheat and actually like tank that move, which is really sad. But Double Kick just beats Substitute users, and HP Rock handles things like Pressure Stall Moltres very easily.
Yep, Double Kick is a very, very cool tech on Blaziken. I mean, in my compendium, I had like 5 different Blaziken sets, and I kind of thought that I reached the peak of Blaziken, but also knew that there was always more Blaziken sets, and here we have Double Kick Swords Dance with Black Belt.
Yeah. Double Electric is a super cool core. I run one with HP Grass to hit Swampert, and the other one with HP Ice to hit Salamence. And yeah, people pretty much always pick Salamence into this team, so Jolteon actually puts in a good amount of work.
Yeah.
Let's go through just a couple more teams, and then we'll switch to some battles. This is an anti-stall Firewater Grass that I built specifically against Close, because Close is the kind of person that loves using stall Pokemon. They love Registeel, they love Dusclops. I think there was some Blissey in there, but they just love standing in front of their opponent and walling them. So I threw together Seismic Toss, Sceptile, Pitaya, Hydrocan, Blastoise, and SD Blaziken. And I will say that it did its job. It breaks stall. And it's Firewater Grass with Blaziken, so it does beat Blissey.
So that is the important part, the Firewater Grass that beats Blissey.
Yeah. Because, man, just the 3 special attackers, you know, it's really tough to get around that in old gens. Fire type just isn't the full offensive behemoth that it is in newer gens.
Yes.
And the very last team that I'd like to touch on, Alakazam with Salac Berry and Barrier. This is a tech that I used week 1 and week 2. I thought it was very, very funny that Alakazam could do so many things. That it could be a tank, and that it could be, you know, like a special attacker, and it can be fast. It can just do so much with one set. The only downside to this set is it gets crit. One physical crit, it's toast. So that is the downside to Barrier sets, but very, very powerful when your opponent just wants to throw out their physical attackers.
Explain the idea behind Salac Berry instead of Leftovers.
Right, so Salac Berry was, I think the thought here was that I would outspeed literally everything in the tier once it popped. That I would tank a hit from
An Arrow?
Yeah, from Arrow and from base 100s. You'll see that I'm 329 speed here. So that even if I was up against like a Salac base 100 that was trying to pull a strat against a faster Pokemon, that I would just do the same thing to them.
Yeah, it makes sense. The Salac battles of ADV 1v1.
Exactly. We don't have Custap, so we just have to stack Salacs.
Yes, which I like.
Yeah. Choice Band Ursaring with HP Bug for Celebi. I love this set. I love Max Attack Ursaring. It's so much fun to just throw it in there, click Hyper Beam, game ends.
Yes, I also love the idea of putting max speed on Ursaring, because I think a lot of people kind of expect like lower speed on these really powerful Pokemon, and just going the max speed maximizes the opposing Ursaring matchup.
Exactly.
And surprises a lot of Pokemon that are like trying to get cute with their speed creeping.
Exactly. And then last but not least, this very, very silly defensive Typhlosion set. Now the purpose behind these EVs is that you would sub turn 1 versus Marowak. You click sub, it throws a Bone Meringue at you, it breaks your sub, and the second hit does 74%. And then you Blast Burn. And that's the whole set. It has Focus Punch on here for Blissey, but as LRXC has pointed out, Substitute plus Focus Punch is insufficient to beat Blissey because it can simply spam Seismic Toss.
Yes, and Seismic Toss, so the thing with Blissey is that at first it only ran counter until we realized that Blissey needs Seismic Toss to beat a Calm Minding Raikou, because it can just sub on the Ice Beams. So, and Seismic Toss Blissey is just a great Pokemon in general. So yeah, it is not the best of just Blissey. Thankfully there's an Ursaring there to just KO Blissey, so.
Yeah. Team doesn't lose to it, but yeah. So those are some of the teams that I've had the most fun with. That and this one, which is just the Metagross that you've seen before. A Silk Scarf Kingdra with boosted Hyper Beam, which I think is absolutely hilarious. And Encore Jumpluff, which does really well against the Broken's team, as I mentioned, and against Stall in general.
Does that tank an HP Ice from Zapdos?
I'm pretty sure that's exactly what it's for, yeah.
Yeah, that's what it kind of looks like, which makes sense with Metagross and Kingdra on the team.
And yeah, without Amnesia, I would assume it is for that exact hit.
Yes.
Alright, so those are the teams. Without any further ado, let's see some of them in action. Alright, so here we have some battles to show off. I'm not playing in these battles. Instead, my Duo Swiss ADV partner, Kentari, will be. This is the Week 2 matchup that we had against the team of Blanched and Fragments. So Kentari is using my teams versus Blanched.
Yeah, what I noticed here is that Lantern somehow, someway has an insanely good matchup here. I'd be very confused if Kentari does not pick Lantern here, which is surprising because Lantern is unranked.
Lantern is so good though.
Wow, but he goes Sceptile into the Jolteon Earthquake. So yeah, now here's the thing: is that if this Sceptile is tanked, it's not HP Ice. It's not HP Ice Jolteon. I wonder why that wasn't HP Ice Jolteon is the question, because Kingdra plus Blaziken is a bit weak to Salamence if Salamence is carrying Dragon Claw.
Yeah, I was about to say.
I'm very surprised Kentari went Sceptile there, but
it did end up being a good click into Jolteon, so we got to give him that one.
Yeah, there you go. The Earthquake Sceptile put in work.
Game 2.
Electrode. So, meme with Electrode is that it's basically trying to beat all of the electrics at once, Zapdos, Raikou, and Jolteon, but it really doesn't do it that well. And you can see here that it's pretty much a dead weight when an opponent doesn't bring an electric type. So this is basically a 3v2 in my opinion. And, I mean, it just looks like Celebine's the Blastoise, Guitar into the Zard. Let's see what Kentari goes here. Doesn't call it out correctly.
Yeah, he does unfortunately try to read the Charizard. And this is one situation where it might be handy to have Rock Slide go for the flinch.
Yeah, that's true. And not only that, but you can already see the levels of depth in ADV here is that, like, if Kentari was packing something cool like a Dragon Dance Lychee Berry Tyranitar, that totally could have gotten a +2 boost with the sand and definitely could have beat that Blastoise. So there's always levels of depth and variety that you can put on your Pokemon to make them beat Pokemon that you would never think they'd be able to beat.
Absolutely. And now, Game 3, this is the Salac Berry Typhlosion set.
Yeah, I love the preview from Blanche. Let's see what happens. Scizor into the Raikou.
I want you to look at this, the damage from the Lychee Berry Scizor here. 77. Wow. Bulked. That is a very physically defensive Raikou.
Yeah, because that's a swarm boosted +1 Scizor. Yeah, if that Scizor was a really cool SD Lefties quick attack set,
ooh, that would be fire.
That would have beat the Raikou there, but yeah, I mean Raikou's matchup was just too good. I wonder, Blanche's Raikou matchup is ridiculously bad here, so that's that's why you lost.
When building for the week, I noticed that a physically defensive Raikou specifically had a fantastic matchup versus Blanche teams.
This was probably assuming a no bulk Raikou.
Yeah. Game 4, he brought my Alakazam Broken's team.
That just looks like 3 solid Pokemon versus 3 solid Pokemon.
Yep.
Zam called out into the Zard, into the Marowak to beat the Raikou probably. Calm Mind, eats a Flamethrower, no problem. This is Encore Recover. Encore could be the play here. Oh, tries to take a Blast Burn. And this is
pretty sure the Blast Burn miss didn't matter.
Yeah, it definitely didn't matter. I mean, Flamethrower is still doing a lot right there. Funny Synchronize won't work because it's a fire type. Keeps recovering. Blast Burn. Now it's Psychic twice time, and that's game over because shouldn't be afraid of the speed. There's no Salac Charizard that's gonna, I don't know, tank a +2 Zam.
That'd be kind of cool. An Endure Salac Charizard.
Yeah, I think it's an idea.
I'd build with that.
Something like a band, like to lure like a band Sceptile, go in HP Rock, or just something that's trying to outpace. I actually did look into Salac Charizard for a little bit. Sadly, you cannot KO Aerodactyl with anything, so it might not be the best.
That's too bad. All right, so that was Kentari series versus Blanched, which he won. Now we have 2 series versus Close. As I mentioned, Close is a fan of stall Pokemon like Regice, so I gave Kentari some stall breaking teams to handle it. They actually lost game 1 of the series, but Kentari won it with
the fire type matchup here
looks
so bad. I don't know how close is closest Charizard answered, like an Amnesia Rest Regice that hopes to not get crit.
Yeah,
and
pretty
have Chesto
much.
Berry so that it's less crit prone, but like, yeah, I guess Machamp is the fire type answer, but as you can see here, that was unlucky. Like, it should have died. But
yeah, the miss was very unfortunate, but
sometimes 1v1 is like that, not just ADV.
True. We've got the next game. Tar Arc Celebi, one of my favorite teams, as I've mentioned.
Yeah, simple pick into the Metagross. Overheat should kill. Metagross was definitely picked into the. I mean, just the Tyranitar or the Celebi didn't expect the Arcanine to come out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fire,
This is
Water,
a
Grass with the Blaziken.
I so Crucify was also using this preview, and I believe Soulwind of Zard, Registeel, Blastoise seemed to be a very interesting like 3 Pokemon that were picked. 2 very powerful sub-Bataya attackers, and then you got a Registeel to like back up those faster offensive Pokemon that are trying to take Charizard and Blastoise down, such as Raikou and Zapdos.
Yeah, the only thing is it lacks a physical attacker, but maybe it just doesn't need it.
Yeah, I might not need it. Let's see what happens here. Sceptile into the Registeel, and here we will see. Oh, actually, this is the Lychee. No way, this is not the Lychee Berry. Now we're gonna see what Leech Seed Seismic Toss actually does in action. Unless Close forfeited, I forgot what happens here, but you'll be able to see that Sceptile can just break down with Seismic Toss. Close can Amnesia all they want. Leech Seed is healing too much back for Seismic Toss and Registeel to do anything. Rest, and then now you'll be able to see the beauty of Seismic Toss plus Leech Seed. It does too much damage in 3 turns for Registeel to be able to do anything. And Sceptile turns into an offensive threat, and then it's also getting stall Pokemon like Registeel, which is super cool. Seismic Toss is here, and it's
an easy
over.
3-hit KO even through leftovers. Fantastic. Yes. Next game, this is the next series because Kintari did just win that previous series.
Yes.
Alakazam Brokens. This time goes Marowak into the Sceptile. This is actually a very interesting matchup, even if Sceptile is Substitute.
Yeah. That's so great. That's the okay, so Marowak and Sceptile is an interesting matchup because of the dynamics of like Swords Dance and then Boomerang doing a lot of damage on substitutes. Does Sceptile Leech Seed turn 1? Does Marowak Swords Dance or Aerial Ace turn 1? But we saw 2 moves that were pretty much almost never seen, which is Solar Beam on Sceptile and a Marowak clicking Double Edge. Very, very funny dynamic, but it really is like, it's not really super favored for either Pokemon. It's one of my favorite matchups of ADV 1v1 is Marowak versus Sceptile.
Yeah. And then the second to last battle, we have Metagross, Charizard, and Jumpluff. This team absolutely loses to Fire types, but we don't need to talk about that.
I mean, honestly, well, if the Jumpluff was Amnesia, it would definitely be able to Amnesia up on an Entei, and if Entei doesn't attack turn 1, it gets Encored, should get Leech Seeded, and it could lose. I'm not sure, but
yeah, unfortunately, it is not Amnesia Pluff.
Yeah, so let's see if Close just picks the obvious. Doesn't, decides to go Registeel.
Nah, these are 2 real gamers, you see. These are not people that pick a Fire type because it beats a Steel type and a Grass type. These guys are a level above.
Yeah, that was, and see, what you can see there is that's another important facet of counter Registeel, is that it basically doesn't, A, it doesn't get overpowered by stuff too quickly, and B, pretty much makes you crit proof by just hoping to not get crit turn 1 versus obvious Choice Band Metagross right there.
Yeah. Also, a lot of Choice Band users running around ADV, so counter is a very strong move in general.
Yes, and that's because there's no choice specs either in ADV.
Right.
That's another very interesting part of important part of the tier is the Choice Band dominant.
Yes. And now our very last battle with Kintari versus Close. We have Alakazam, Ursaring, and Typhlosion versus Ursaring, Dusclops, Registeel. So once again, the opponent bringing lots of stall, and we have some stall breaking power.
Let's see how it works. Typhlosion into the Dusclops, the Fire type answer for the team. Seismic Toss Dusclops, I've never seen that before, but it makes sense, just tanking hits and Seismic Tossing stuff down. Surprised a Calm Mind isn't coming out. It's probably too little too late. It's good. Yeah, I don't know what it's doing here. I mean, it's going to get flamed into a Blast Burn, I presume. Yep, sub, get the Pataya and the Blaze Burn. And the supposed Fire type answer is not a Fire type answer anymore, as it's taking 70% from a Flamethrower. I have no clue how close this team was beating Charizard, unless it was like full Spadef Registeel that just sits on it with Amnesia. And I'm surprised that I didn't see the Registeel here because of that.
Yeah, that team is just very Fire weak. I was surprised not to see at least Calm Mind Dusclops.
Yeah,
Yeah, so what are your impressions of the teams after seeing them in action a little bit?
So my thoughts on the team are that, like, just in general, that, like, I'm always constantly surprised that, like, I can think of so many things in ADV 1v1, and there's always more that comes out. And so there's always more to find, and there's always more to explore. And I love the creativity of something like Stall Lantern. I love Double Kick Blaziken. I think these are all very solid examples of tournament teams where you're okay with losing to something because you feel like your opponent won't bring it, and so you can take extra creative risks by running just swanky sets in general. So yeah, I love the teams.
Awesome, thank you. I totally agree. I love being able to run all kinds of unexpected sets alongside the truly viable sets. I feel like there's a lot of room to have fun, to experiment, to innovate. You're not bound to like using the S ranks or the A ranks or whatever. Truly, there is room in ADV to just have fun, to just use what you want to use, experiment with the old gen's mechanics a little bit, get comfortable with some of the, the intricacies and the funny things about the tier. It's an extremely fun meta to play.
It's awesome, and it's new too, so there's like so much more to explore, and yeah, ADV 1v1 is great.
So, to answer the question, should you play ADV 1v1? Yes! A resounding yes. Please play this tier. It is so much fun, you guys. Once you get past the couple of strange old gens mechanics, it is an absolute blast. It's so much fun to build. It's so much fun to battle. Please give it a shot. The ROA ladder and the ADV Cup.
Well, ADV Cup is happening right now. You guys should still be able to sign up, depending on when this video comes out.
Sign up for ADV Cup.
Link will be in the description. And also, yes, the Runes of Alph Ladder of the Month for September is ADV 1v1. So you can try some teams that you made on the ladder, and ADV 1v1 is rising very, very quick right now. There's lots of opportunities to play and explore the tier.
Yes. So that'll pretty much do it. All of the information will be in the description, teams, links, etc. Huge thank you to LRXC for joining me on this episode. Please feel free to go check out LRXC's channel, where you can catch some of my battles in the Swiss tournament. He's covered my Week 1, Week 2, and Week 3 battles against Dennis the Menace. So yeah, please check out LRXC's channel. He has lots of ADV 1v1 content.
Yes, I have lots of very in-depth BKC-esque ADV 1v1 level content, 3.5-hour video on a sets compendium, hour-long sets analysis. ADV 1v1 is like a big passion project of mine, and yeah, if you're interested in the tier, that's the place to go.
Absolutely. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you learned something, and I hope you have a wonderful day.